Hi, I'm Kelly Pietrangeli, and this podcast is designed to be an entertaining, inspirational, personal growth journey. Each episode goes in a mostly chronological order as I piece together the books, modalities, people, and experiences that have fallen onto my life path exactly when I needed them. And how often I resisted the very things I needed the most, or didn't see the gifts contained in the challenges until later. By sharing my stories, I hope to inspire you to reflect on your life path. What are the seeming coincidences that have led you to where you are today? What are the hidden gifts within your challenges? And what magic is out there waiting for you as you let go of resistance and follow your own breadcrumb trail? At the end of each short episode, there's an opportunity for you to breathe and reflect on how my story relates to your own life. You can find more inspiration on my website, kellypietrangeli.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is episode 68 of the Project Me podcast, and I have with me today Patricia Kennedy, aka Tarot by Patti. And Patti is an online psychic. She's a tarot reader, a manifestation coach, a spiritual tutor, all the good stuff. And she is known as Tarot by Patti, and that's Patti with an I. Hello, Patti. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Kelly. Thank you for having me on today.
Great to see you again. You know, I was first referred to you by my friend, Nicole Shenton, who's my Kundalini yoga teacher here in Ibiza. And I remember it was during class one morning that she said, guys, if you ever want a really spot on, accurate psychic reading, there's this woman in the UK called Patti. And we were all kind of like, oh, and then we were banking your details and thinking, okay, you know, when and if. And I have to say, I never want to be one of these people who like uses something as a crutch. Like I never want it to be like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna ask my psychic, you know, that kind of thing. It'd be so tempting. But I usually like to look at my own intuition, write to my intuition, put my situation or my dilemma or whatever it is that I'm churning around onto paper first and write to it. And I'll use my own tarot deck and all that. But I will say that it was May of 23, so just over a year ago, that I was doing all that stuff that I do, and I still was going around in circles. And we do that sometimes, you know, our intuition is telling us something, but we're still questioning it. We're still going, I don't know if that's true, or there's resistance to it, right? And so
Absolutely.
that's exactly what was going on for me. And so I suddenly went, oh, Tarot by Patti. And I came across, I think I just remembered the name. I came across your Etsy page. So you've got your
Mhm,
website, which is your
mhm.
URL, tarotbypatti.com, but you also had this Etsy page. And I went on there and there was like, oh, you can have a reading by email where you get the answer in writing, or you can do it by audio and get an audio recording or have a face-to-face. And at the time, I chose the audio. And I got this audio and I remember listening to it. And it was basically like everything that I needed to hear at that moment. It was about my business. I remember it was about pivoting in my business and going from being a straightforward kind of no nonsense life coach and moving fully into the spiritual realms of being a spiritual mentor. And I knew I was going to do it and everything, but it was about my website. Oh, but what do I do about my website? Do I keep the old one? Do I move to a new one? Within 4 months of that audio reading from you, my new website was launched, kellypietrangeli.com. I was going, you know, and I just remember that there were several things that you said in that audio reading that were in my soul plan. I mean, I'm a soul plan practitioner. I know my soul plan inside and out. And you were using actual words from my soul plan. And I was like, okay, you know, yes, but we need to hear it sometimes from another angle, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. You need to hear it to believe it even more, do you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I kind of didn't need any assistance or any guidance until more recently. And then again, it was last month and I found myself doing that and reached out to you. And I was so happy because you had a one-on-one face-to-face and you were available the very next day. So I was like, oh my gosh, let's just do the very next day. And again, it was amazing. But before I get into,
Mhm.
talking about that and all of that, I would love to hear about your journey into this line of work. I think you mentioned to me, that's why I said I'm going to have you on the podcast, that you also went from doing something else and pivoting into this. And I would just love to hear whether that was a smooth transition. What were you doing before? How long did it take you?
Well, my journey started quite many years ago when I started to visit spiritual churches because I had a profound fear of dying. It came out of nowhere and it just crippled my day-to-day life. I saw myself in the morning that I end up in the morgue in the evening. So it was not normal. It was completely out of it wasn't a fact, okay, but in my mind it was. So a long story, but I visited a spiritual church and my husband said to me, oh my God, I'm coming with you because God knows what they're doing in there. Anyway, we stayed in closed circles for 20 plus years. And in that time, I really learned about energies, never done a tarot reading, never had a tarot reading. And then one morning I woke up and it was, you need to learn the tarot. I was in education at that time, so it was quite a secure job, and which made me not very happy, to be honest. So you're doing it for the money. The job has changed, a lot of no funding and a lot of stress, let's say it that way. But yes, so one morning I had to learn the tarot. I've done that for many years then. And then one day I said, well, that's it, I'm leaving my job. But then you know how it is. Then you go like, oh, but what if this, what if that? Then your own thought pops in because spirit was talking very loudly to me. But then my mind with my own insecurities and what if this happens? And what if that happens? And then it stopped me for another 2 years. So I've done both for 2 years. And then one day I was like, no, the universe wants me to put all my energy into one basket and not spread myself thin everywhere and be even more exhausted. So I've done it. I went and left my job and started my own business. And as scary as it is, it's the best thing I've ever done also. Yeah, because I followed my passion and what I was called to do.
I love it. And did you have any challenges with your husband went with you to that church. So was he totally on board with you pivoting into the spiritual realms? Anything from family members or friends who are like, who are you to be doing that? You're not the Patty we know, that kind of thing.
Oh, complete change. Because my husband was always on my side. Okay, my husband always told me that I have to follow my calling because he has the spiritual understanding and he has an element of trust. But the trust is the problem, is it? We have to trust ourselves and we have to trust the universe has a plan for us. And if you don't trust, it's difficult to navigate through all of this because if you connect it to your fear, it won't work. But yeah, my family certainly found it great, but had a lot of doubts. Okay, are you sure this is a good idea? Because my when they think with tarot reading, they think you're sitting in a little wagon down by the beach and you read the cards, and with that's how you visualize a tarot reader telling people their futures. So I had to educate that that's not the case. It has advanced, and it's not about future telling.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are the misconceptions that you think people have about tarot?
First of all, it's very mystic, and there's a lot of fears surrounded by tarot, which, I don't want to know my future. I don't want to, well, basically, will you give me bad news? Like the death card is in there, as we know, and the death card means a transition. So everything in the tarot is a symbolism, and everything guides you towards your inner path, your truth. Okay, that's really what it is. And it can be very painful if you have to connect with yourself. Because a lot of people don't want to connect with themselves anymore. It's easier to find a way out. If someone tells them everything will be fine and they don't have to do any work, that's even better, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I know some people that I know feel that with tarot, it could be self-fulfilling prophecy. Like they tell you something and then that's what's going to happen because you were told that, as opposed to, it being that was what was going to happen. So yeah, it's kind of there's definitely a lot of resistance, I know, for some people.
Sure, yeah. But it's not for everybody. And once you understand, and every tarot reader is different as well, may I say that? Okay, every tarot reader is different. And there certainly are tarot readers which are not very positive and which are really quite a liability. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I did have a woman coming to me, but I'll tell you about that later about the clients. And so there's a lot of responsibility, I feel, there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I had before you, I think I had a beachside one in Santa Monica one time where they said I was going to be moving abroad. And I remember thinking, I don't even own a passport. I was living in America, I was young. And then sure enough, I fell in love with a guy from London and ended up moving to London, I think like within a year. So yeah, again, you could say, "Ooh, did I see him?" and think, "Ooh, she said that. Now I need to move abroad." But I don't know, it's that kind of a thing. But the next time I had a tarot reading was at Psychic Sisters in Selfridges. And I just remember that my back was up. Like I went in and I was just like, I wanted her to prove to me that she was legit. So everything she was saying, I was thinking, you know, of course she's going to say that. Of course, she even had my grandmother's name. Your mother's mother Elizabeth is here. And even then, my brain went, well, that's a time. Elizabeth is a name from those times, like she got lucky.
Yes.
That's how cynical I was,
Mm.
and just wanting to just everything she said, oh, whatever. And fortunately, I got home, journaled on it all, kind of like shared with some friends what she'd said. Everyone else was like, I don't have a grandmother named Elizabeth, and then kind of over the years, really began to think about what she said, and it was so unbelievably spot on. So yeah, it was just one of those. I think we can go into that kind of thing where it's like, prove to me that you're legit.
Absolutely. And I find that a lot, where people come in very resistant and there is always the one that really wants you to absolutely prove. And my job is not to prove myself. Okay. And that's something where, because that's where you can become a bit like, ooh, because sometimes you do get people that sit there and they were like, and I said, how can I help you? And you tell me. And you go like, oh dear, not a good energy. But so far, I've always managed to solve to solve it very well for both of us, because not everybody wants to be on a journey, not everybody wants to learn, but I overcome this now by asking the universe to send me the right clients. And I found this has made a massive difference. Not just at the beginning of a business you go like, oh my god, send me clients, okay, and then I found out, oh no, I don't just want clients, absolutely not, I want to have the right clients. So this is what has happened over the past years. I can well and truly say that 99% of my clients are very, very lovely people. And even if they are cynics and they want to have some proof, they come round in the end.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I have to say I was that bad client in that first session where I was just like, prove this to me. I
Yeah.
was very cynical, very prove it. And it wasn't until afterwards that I was like, okay, everything was very spot on. But I remember I was leaving the room and she tapped me on the shoulder and she said some final words to me. And she said, within 4 years, you're going to be sitting in my chair. And I said, what, reading tarot cards? Because I was really that like she said yes. And I was like, okay. And then it was about a couple of years later, I think, that my dear soul sister Denise gifted me a set of tarot cards, the Osho Zen tarot cards. And to me, they weren't spooky. I always found normal tarot cards a bit the Rider-Waite deck,
Old
very
fashioned, yeah, with the
old-fashioned.
symbolism.
The
Yeah.
imagery didn't appeal to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like things like, I didn't even know what the Hanged Man meant by the time, but like you said, the devil, the Hanged Man, all this stuff, I was like, oh, I don't like that. And I was gifted this beautiful set of Osho Zen cards, and the illustrations spoke to me, and the words and everything spoke to me. And I began doing readings for myself, and then for my family, and then for my friends and everything. And so then I started getting into it, but it's only now that I am really beginning to study the tarot and realizing, oh, so in my Osho Zen, the suit of water is like the suit of cups, and I'm piecing it together now and
Exactly.
realizing like, oh, okay, and the way that I do mine, I just remember being so put off by the way that mine was done, where she was throwing cards around really quickly. They weren't facing me. She wasn't telling me what the cards were. And then she was just telling me stuff, and it was like, and I felt like everything was like, oh, I don't know. I just felt it didn't resonate with me that in that approach. And so when I started reluctantly doing these readings for other people, because I was thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing there.
Yeah.
But I began doing these readings, which were more like a card comes up, but they tell me what the situation is. The card comes up and we talk about it. And then the card comes up and we talk about it. And it becomes like a coaching tool, really. And so we
Mhm.
end up really going deep by using the cards in that way. Is that what you do too? Because are you, when you're doing a reading with somebody, the cards are coming up and how is it working? Are you getting intuitive hits? What's going on?
But the cards have a foundational meaning. Okay, so you have to obviously learn what that card is all about. Okay, what the pentacles are about there, about money, about material sides of life, and so every suit has a different meaning, of course, and you have to study that. But it's wrong just to focus on the studies, because you have to use your intuition. You have to use your connection with the spirit world. Well, not everyone does, but you certainly have to your intuition, because the card has an overall meaning. But at the same time, what it doesn't do, it's different for everybody. Yeah, so the same meaning, the same card can have a completely different meaning to you, which we then dive in, because in my readings, I always ask my guides to pass on to you what you need to hear today. Okay. Sometimes people come to me with relationship problems, and I tell them about money, and they go, well, I didn't ask you about money. Well, but maybe this is a big factor about your relationship problems, So there is a lot that comes through the cards. And when I started with a prayer, so I always ask for the good. And everything that you need to know at that time to better your soul's journey will come through.
That's beautiful. And do you use different types of decks? Because I think in my last readings, we had a video one that time, you pulled out a card of passion. Was that from a different deck than the Rider-Waite?
I always work with the Rider-Waite. I've got loads of decks. Okay, I've got decks everywhere, because I'm like, oh my god, the artwork is amazing. I need to look at it, and I look at it, I study it, and I'm working with Rider-Waite, because that's the cards I connect with. But certainly, yes, I have other cards like Take What You Need, or meaningful cards. So sometimes it's just good to have an idea what I need to talk about. Okay, so I pick a card of a different deck, but it's not a tarot deck. It's more of a advice deck, things you should know.
I love that. Yeah, because in my latest reading with you, I came to you, like I said, with something that was just really chewing my brain up, and just could not come up with an answer. And I'm usually an open book on this podcast. I share everything, but because this is about somebody else, and I said I wasn't going to talk about it. I can't. But in the session with you, we had a 1 hour booked, and within 10 minutes, my answer was there. And I said, okay, well, thank you very much. We still have 50 minutes left. And so then I just said, well, can I come up with something else? And you said yes. And by the way, thank you so much for that. Just that answer. I knew that was the answer, but I just needed to hear it.
Confirmation.
Yeah. And now I really know it. Like, it isn't even like, it's not even a question anymore. It's just like, of course. But then I remember asking you, I've got my journal here from just last month. I remember asking you a question about my work, and you drew the passion card. And I think that must have been what you meant, where you were like, okay, where are we going with this? So you must have just drawn a card to just kind of give us like
I believe it was the Oracle of the Unicorn cards, and that was the passion that came up for you. Yeah,
I drew the passion card myself from a different deck the week before that, and I posted on my Instagram, and I was talking about it because I have just recently been to Peru, and in the Peruvian culture, they place such a high importance on how much passion somebody has in their life. To them, it's health and it's passion, and if you don't have high values of those, then you're not going to have a great life. And so for you to pull the passion card, and it was just reinforcement about my work and about passion passion and just feeling passionate about what I do and not getting bogged down by the stuff that I really, don't want to do, outsource that stuff, everything. And so that was great. And then you also said that I need to rewrite my affirmations because I'm big on affirmations. I teach that to other people. I'm always telling people have affirmations. I got affirmations that I write on index cards. But when you said that, I realized I haven't made any new affirmations for the new evolution of what I'm doing now. I still have my old ones, and I wasn't even really looking at them anymore. So again, sometimes we need that outside person to come and say that. And so I've created new affirmations for myself or for this chapter of my life now, and it's going really well. So I wanted to report back to you about that.
Perfect. I'd like to hear that.
And then you said a line. You said you are a catalyst for change. And I thought that's unbelievable because my soul plan, my soul destiny, which is right in the middle of my chart, is I am a catalyst for change. And it is one of my affirmations, but one that I haven't been really using very often. But yeah, you just pulled that out. I was like, that's my actual soul destiny, is to be a catalyst for change.
Fabulous. Yes, it's meant to be. And when you say passion, it's absolutely all it does, or affirmations, all it does, it has to evoke an emotion. Okay. And if it doesn't evoke an emotion, that's what passion is. Passion, what does it give? It gives you a vibration, it gives you an energy which calls more good into your life. And the affirmations are exactly the same. It's provoking an energy, it's provoking a vibration that you can connect with. Yeah. And that's all it is. So it's all energy, everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that in my soul.
Yeah.
How do you handle in a reading, difficult cards that come up for somebody? If you do have something that comes up, you think, ooh, how do you approach that?
I always make sure that I don't just throw out the difficulty. I always have a solution. Yeah. So I can't just give them bad news, negative news. I can't give bad news, but I can't tell them, oh, it's really difficult times coming. So, oh dear, yeah, the Tower card's coming. Oh, it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. Poor you. I always make sure we continue, and the people then leave with a knowing, but also a solution in their own head, so they don't feel lost. They go oh my God, is this coming? What am I going to do? It will be awful. That's not an energy. I always want to send people away with an absolute knowing that everything will be fine, and they have a solution to manage and navigate their way through these days and times.
I love that. You're right. The tarot can be empowering, and it ought to be empowering. It's shining a light on things that we can't see for ourselves, or we're being blocked, or we've got self-limiting beliefs, or there's things that we just need to overcome. And the tarot is to shine a light on these things so we can see them, bring them to the surface, and work with them. Yeah, so I think that goes back to that whole thing about what some people are afraid of receiving, some kind of bad card, some kind of bad news. But you know what? You can bury it and you can pretend it's not there. You can be blindsided when it does happen, or you can be empowered.
Exactly. And a lot of people come to me when they get to a point where the restlessness gets so bad that they know, I can continue, because we have choices in life. So we always can continue whatever we're doing. Of course we can, but this has consequences. Okay. And the consequence might be that we are in a toxic relationship, that we do suppress ourselves. And of course we can continue like this, but we will never be on our soul's path. And once the moment comes where you think, I need to get back on my soul's path and I need a little bit of help, that's when I come in.
Yeah. Do you feel that some of your clients, do you see the same name coming up again and again and again? You're like, are they using you as a crutch? Do you see, especially with your male ones, where you're not really having a face-to-face, but you're giving them an email reply or a voice reply? Do you see people coming again? I know that's good for business, great for business of people, but I mean, how do you handle that?
I mean, that was in the past, okay, but I stepped away from this because, when you get the usual readings, that's not what I'm standing for. That's not what I wanted to do. It's like when you're like, will he come back to me? Yeah, and you lay the cards and you go like, oh, absolutely not, but it's a blessing in disguise because you deserve so much better. And, and then you talk, and then they leave. And on the Monday after they go like, will he come back to me? And you go like, no, I mean, the energies are still the same. I still give you the same answer. Come back to me when you have made meaningful changes. And then we can have a look how the cards are navigating you further. So no, I would say every 3 to 6 months, no more than that. And energies have to change.
Oh, that's really good to hear. Like every 3 to 6 months. Okay. Tell me about how often something does come up that you feel like you're just going in circles over it and your intuition
Yeah,
is scrambled and all of that. So that sounds reasonable. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh. And do you have a preference over giving people an audio, a written, or a face-to-face session?
I love video calls. Yeah, for me, that's face to face is okay. Audio is always, it's not difficult, but it's different because I've got no picture. But I'm connecting to the energies. It's just maybe a little bit more work for me. Yeah, because I have to completely connect differently. But yeah, all of this is fine. Video call or face to face is absolutely fine. Yeah.
When you're
Video call
doing
is
that,
easier for me because I don't have to tidy the house.
yeah, I know I was gonna say you gotta like make your hair look okay.
yeah, yeah, that's all good. But yeah, if you have one house visit and you go like, oh, I now have to make sure everything is absolutely 100% perfect because I work from home. I do have my reading room, but yes, I do work from home. So, but
Yeah.
no, it's all good. It's all fine.
Oh, that's great. And if you do an email reply, are you using AI to help you? Like, are you recording it and then AI can turn it into written, or are you just typing?
No. I don't use AI, not for my tarot readings. I use it for promotion for Instagram or to write things,
Yeah.
but never for my readings. So no, because I feel AI has a good place in the world, but I don't feel it should be. It should come into the readings
Oh
or
no, I didn't mean ask AI.
or my words.
I've got
My
a
words are
client who's
mine.
asking me about this. What do you think? Can you imagine?
AI, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I could just imagine the fraudster tarot readers out there
And I'm
who are
sure
like,
it's happening. I'm
oh my
absolutely. That's why I'm
goodness.
saying it's so important who you choose, who you connect with, because there can be a lot of trust can be broken there.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on is because, I really trust Nicole. And when Nicole was telling me spot on, you need to hear it from somebody else to trust. And then you don't go into that reading the way that I did with that stranger I didn't know and just having my back up against it, my defenses up, because you're going to receive the information so much better if
Okay.
there's that initial trust or somebody that you trust. And hopefully the people who listen to my podcast regularly trust my recommendations, and I would never hand on my heart like recommend somebody that I hardly ever have guests on my podcast. So that tells you how much I
Thank
really
you.
feel that your readings are
Thank you.
accurate. Yeah. One of the things that came up in my reading with you last month when we had the secondary question that I wasn't expecting to ask, is I just found myself asking you about my Project Me business again. And that I have this mailing list and I have this whole framework that I developed, and it's 10 years of that business. And because I pivoted into my spiritual work, that's kind of sitting there. And I keep thinking, but should I do something with it? Should I sell it? And yeah, in the reading, you talked about you got the world card and the world card where you can share what the world card is about.
The world card is talking about a new cycle in your life. Okay, an absolutely new cycle. One cycle has finished. It was absolutely meant to be yours. But now it's a new cycle, a better cycle, and it's a cycle which will absolutely push you forward into a new direction, which will again emotionally fulfill you much, much more.
Yeah, which I know, but then I was still like, I know, but does that mean that I leave behind the other business completely? And then you drew the Queen of Swords, and you said that I need to work with my head and not my heart to sell the business. And so, yeah, I've still been like, ooh, you said reach out to people who know how to sell a business. Because I said,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to sell a business. And I use friends and connections and all of that. So I'm still kind of like needing to manifest. Oh, you're a manifesting coach too. I need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
manifest and call in somebody who knows something about selling a business and bring that in.
Yeah, absolutely. And the most important thing about manifesting is the biggest mistake people make is to have a vision how things should happen. Yeah. So in our human mind, we say, oh, I want to achieve this and this, and that's how it has to happen. And what you have to completely walk away from this. You have to know what you want. You have to send it out, but then leave it to the universe how it will deliver. Yeah, because otherwise you might as well blocking the way it was meant for you. Yeah, because sometimes really weird things happen where you feel like, what's the chance of that? Yeah.
Absolutely. My life has been like that, where it's kind of
Yeah.
that breadcrumb trail and all the
Yeah.
synchronicities and everything. So yeah, I am still putting it out there that somebody, and now I'm saying it
Perfect.
on my podcast, so you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask you about what was I going to say? I was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, I know. What advice would you give to someone who is wanting to learn more about the tarot, or even become a professional tarot reader themselves?
Study the cards. Yeah, absolutely study the cards, but also learn to sit in meditation with the card. What I like to suggest is pick a card in the morning and then turn it upside down. Don't look at it. Go through your day, and in the evening, you turn the card round and then you see how this card connected to your day. Because the danger is if we have pick a card of the day, you pick it and it's a tower, you go like, oh my God, it would be awful. Or you're putting your own perception on the day already. Or if it's the queen of hearts, the queen of cups, you go like, oh, today's going to be a good day. And so to prevent this, you go through your day and then turn around in the evening and then you connect to the card. And then next time you see this card, you remember that day. So what you have to do, you have to build connections in your brain with that card, with situations, with people. You can go like, oh, that day I met so-and-so and he was like that and that. Okay. And it could be the king of swords. So you will all forever have that person in your mind with the king of swords, and then you can explain the person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I love that. I'm going to start doing that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love it. I do tend to pick, not every morning, but oftentimes an oracle card. Like you, I've got quite a few decks, and I like to kind of, read from the booklet and read about that. But I like the idea of picking it, not looking at it, and then at the end of the day, doing the reflection on it. Yeah, that's nice. I'm going to try that.
absolutely. Yeah, try it.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we are going to wrap things up because I like to always keep these episodes short and sweet. But I have a cheeky ask.
Sure.
Just before we got on this call, I spoke to my son, who has a track record of really challenging roommate accommodation issues. I mean, like, can we do a quick hit? Can we do a quick hit? He went to look at an apartment last night, and I would just love a quick hit on that apartment. If
What's
you
his feeling about it? Because we need to speak about feelings more as well,
Mhm. He
Not
is
so much.
feeling that he's just graduated from university. It's his first job in London. He knows that he doesn't have a big budget at all for an apartment, so he's going, for what will work for his budget. And he is feeling like he ought to just take it because there might not be something else any better. But it's the first one he's looked at. And so as a mother, I'm kind of like, but shouldn't you be looking at more? But he's feeling like it's a yes. And yeah.
If it's his feeling, the celebration card comes up here. Okay.
Oh,
So if that is his feeling, you have to let him move
Okay.
forward, because what you're doing, you're putting your own life experience into it. Yeah, you're gonna because
I'm
you have
putting his
life
experience into it because he's actually had terrible accommodation and terrible roommates every year throughout all of university, and I've always been the one having to, like, deal with the emotional calls and everything of, like, the terrible roommate or the awful, being evicted and all the things that have happened. So there's a part of me I'm very hands-off parent normally. I let my kids do whatever they want. But in this case, I'm kind of like, should I be giving him a little bit of guidance here? But you're seeing celebration.
Celebrations, but also the Fool. And the Fool is the beginning of a new journey, okay? What it clearly is for your son. But what you need to be careful, or what the Fool tells you, is don't just jump into it like a fool, okay? It is a new journey, but do your homework. Okay, so that will be really important. So don't tell your son, oh, don't do it. Remember the past. It all went terribly wrong. But what you can do is absolutely find out all the ins and outs about this accommodation. So that's something you can do, okay? Because you do your homework, you find out everything, and then do it, okay? Will lead to
the contract, read every word of the contract.
Everything.
Yeah.
Do your homework, yeah? But
Yeah.
don't say it's either all good or not without doing your homework, okay? Yeah. The cards suggest, and it will be very positive, but you need to do your homework and then do it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patti. I'll pass that on to my son. Really appreciate it. Tell everybody how they can work with you. And I know you do other things besides tarot too, including, I think I saw on your website that you do a tarot course as well, learning how to do the tarot.
Yeah, I don't do a course at the moment because I'm having an operation soon. So yes, I do courses. I do tarot courses where you can learn the cards, but it's all via Zoom, recorded. You will get a lot of information and a workbook. Then I have manifestation VIP classes, which last 4 weeks, and it's an hour. It's 4 1-hour Zoom recordings, and again a lot of material and my time, yeah, and guidance during that time, yeah. And then obviously half an hour tarot readings, and recorded face-to-face, anything.
Wonderful. And your website is Tarot by Patti with an I, right?
That's right, yes.
Tarot by Patti with an I.com.
.com. That's right.
Great. All right, Patti. Well, it's been great connecting with you again. Thank you for that spontaneous quick hit reading at the end. And thank you again for the support that you've given me in my 2 readings with you. I've really appreciated it. Thank you so very much, Kelly. It was so lovely to connect with you. Great to connect with you too.
Okay, then speak soon. Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Project Me podcast. I'll create an episode discussion post on my Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, I'm Kelly Project Me, and on Facebook, Project Me Kelly P. And you can also email me hello@myprojectme.com. If you're not yet one of my sweet subscribers, come on over. My newsletter list is where I share my musical playlist, meditations I love, books I'm reading, and inspiration to enhance your spiritual journey. Go to kellypietrangeli.com. That's also where you can book in for a soul plan session with me, or find out about my Ibiza retreats, or join my online Soul Explorers membership. I would absolutely love to be alongside you on your journey. Until next time, open your mind, open your heart, and stay curious. We all need some space in our lives for the magical and unknown.